Okay, are we gonna start now?
This is exciting.
Oh wait, we have to sync
Wait,
our audio.
Carlos, are you ready?
Yeah.
Wait, we have
Wait,
to
we
sync
have
our
to sync
audio.
our audio. So 5. Okay, but I'm gonna count down to 1 and then clap.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
1.
Okay.
Oh.
What is wrong with
I can't.
you? Podcast is going great.
It's over. It's already over. It's over.
That's it. That's the podcast. That's the whole podcast.
That's all, folks.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Saberbs podcast. I'm Talia. I'm 20. I live here in the Philippines. I'm studying production design, and I'm currently dressed up as 2000's Wanda from the Breaking the Fourth Wall episode.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Mischa. I'm 19, and I am currently studying music and musical theater here in the UK. And I am dressed up as 80s-esque Wanda from On a Very Special Episode.
Hey everybody, I am Karlos. I am 19 years old and I am from the Philippines and I'm currently studying sequential art here from my bedroom. And I am dressed up as I am dressed up as 70s Vision from that 70s show. I forgot the name of the episode, but anyway, we are here today because
Because we're contractually obliged, people. Someone's doing this to us.
we are implanted from
Wanda
the studio themselves to
has trapped
talk
us
about.
to make a podcast. Wanda.
We are industry implants
Wanda
to here to
told
talk
us.
to,
Oh
here to
my
talk to you
God.
today about
Oh my
WandaVision.
god.
Okay. Okay, this next part is true though. We've been friends for a very long time, and one of the ways that we've connected over the years is through the MCU, through the Marvel movies, and that's one of the things that we still talk to each other about today. Today.
Too gay.
God damn it.
He means today, people. He means today.
Someone
You want
take
do you want to
over.
take that again, man? You want to take that again?
We are here today to talk about WandaVision. And we've been
Yay.
friends for a very long time, and the MCU, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is one of the ways we've kept in contact for like over the years. And recently we've gotten to get together just like old times and just theorize the hell out of the show and just talk about it. Because it was such a fun ride, and I'd like to go into our first impressions and our expectations when the
That
show
that
was
being
first
said
being
though,
announced.
that being said though, just real quick, if you haven't seen WandaVision yet, and you want to,
Oh,
come back and watch this later. Watch the show first because we're gonna talk about a lot of spoilers and we're
heavy
gonna
spoiler
really
warning.
delve
Yes.
into the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so come
Mhm.
back if you haven't seen WandaVision yet. This is your warning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, first
Even better.
impressions.
Now that they're gone, we can start.
Mhm.
So, first impressions on the show. Excuse me. So the show was probably properly announced around April of 2019. So right before Endgame, they announced that Disney Plus was going to happen, and Marvel was going to make shows on that platform, and that WandaVision was going to be created and was going to be like sitcom-esque. Now, personally, I was a bit confused and really, I was just mainly confused and a bit really? Because Wanda and Vision, they haven't really been built up well in the MCU personally in the movies. You kind of care about them, but you also kind of don't. So to make a whole TV show about them, I was just I don't know. I didn't really have a lot of expectations personally.
Me personally, I definitely felt like they were underrated characters. Because I thought what we've seen from them in the movies was compelling for me, but it's just they got sidelined by the bigger characters like Iron Man or Captain America, and just like the main Avengers. And so like I was like kind of curious to see what they'd explore with these characters, especially with such an out there premise.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
mean, I was definitely really excited for us to finally see more of Wanda and Vision, since we didn't really get a lot about them in the films. But what I found so weird was that it was going to be a sitcom. Like that didn't seem like the right um, sort of like the right genre to put them in. It seemed really weird and out of the box. But as we all know, it later paid off. But when we first heard the idea, and when we saw the concept art of them sitting in like a suburban home in like 1950s esque clothing, with like a garden in like on a window behind them, like it looked really weird, and none of us really got it or what they were trying to go for. So none of us really knew what to expect with this show.
Hmm. For sure. And especially obviously as time went on and COVID and the pandemic happened and like sort of the timeline of how phase 4 was going to look, it ended up that WandaVision was going to be sort of our first foray into what the future of the MCU looked like after Far From Home in July of 2019. We were supposed to have like Falcon Winter Soldier come out, Black Widow, Eternal, Shang-Chi come out, and WandaVision would be in the middle, right? As a sort of out of the box, weird sort of experimental show with the sitcom element that they went with it. And now this was sort of like the first thing that we're gonna get back of Marvel. So there was a sort of think, especially when the trailer dropped in September of 2020, intrigue sort of and excitement increased with A, we actually get Marvel content finally after a year of having nothing, and B, sort of like we've kind of got more of a picture of how the show was possibly going to go. I personally was still sort of confused because we got them looking at the sitcoms throughout the decades, but also we got, what was happening in reality, with and stuff like that. So I was very intrigued mainly of how they were gonna make it one cohesive show and how it was gonna work out.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then the Fire Nation. It's at no. I mean, the first two episodes dropped. What was it last? Just
January.
January. Oh my
Yeah,
god, I lost track of time.
Yes. It's been a
Jesus.
long year. It's been a long year.
yeah.
It's only
So
March, dude. Oh my god. Anyway,
God.
the first two episodes dropped in January, and like immediately we were hooked on the show, and
Hmm.
like as we follow the show like every week, um, we just enjoyed the ride the whole way, and we really think that Marvel set a really high bar with every episode that came out, and overall, there's
mhm.
just a lot of stuff
Hmm.
that we like about the show.
So yeah, a lot.
The one thing that really like stood out for me that I absolutely love about this show is how well they play into the sitcom conventions, with each episode being a different decade of the American sitcom. Um, we got to see
Yeah.
the writers and the actors just lean into that era and that humor and that acting. Um, to the point where it really did feel like it came from that time. And
Yeah.
one thing that I also love is that they, used to its full advantage is they sort of like lulled us into a sense of like security with like these sitcom tropes that suddenly when it broke in just the slightest, it became one of the most like unsettling things. Like for example, in the first episode, in the dinner table scene, when when the camera gets closer and closer to Mrs. Hart when she's saying "Stop it," and Mr. Hart choking
Yeah.
on the food, and Wanda and Vision just staring at each other. That like
Mm-hmm.
just completely came out of nowhere because we before that point we're just locked into a sitcom, and that's one of the things that the show does so well is just like pull us into a state of like false security for 30 minutes and then just scare us like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think one of my other favorites, which is also like an overall one of our favorite scenes, was sort of like in the fourth episode when like Wanda and Vision have like their huge argument, right? Like Wanda, like the
Hmm.
credits start to roll, right?
Oh
But
my
then their
god, yeah.
fight
I
sort of
absolutely
continues.
love
So like
that
you,
scene.
so like yeah, one of our favorite scenes for
Yes.
many of reasons which we will get onto in a bit. But like again, sort of like you're like Wanda is sort of forcing us to watch this sitcom, right? That she's put ourselves into, and we are again, as Talia said, in this sort of security of like everything will go well, right? Like as in like in a sitcom, like there are problems, but it gets resolved in the end. But then in this, even after the credits roll, like there is still so much tension and so much building up to what's going on. And I feel like what they do well in the show is sort of play with the tone and mood, how like they can switch so easily to like laughing over, a stupid one liner joke to like, you know, being all serious about like how much control does one to have and how is that affecting others, which I think they did really well.
Hmm. And like another great thing that they added to the show was that in the middle of almost every single episode, at least that the ones that were based off of that had the sitcom format, was they had a commercial that sort
Oh
of
yeah.
gave us an insight into Wanda's mind and like her past. And those commercials were super super creative and also at times just downright scary, like the commercial
Yeah.
from the 90s episode with
Yeah,
the
the one with
the
their
Yo
shark.
Magic yogurt.
Yeah.
That
That
Yeah.
was
was
Whoa.
that was really
not
unsettling.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That
And
I
like
remember.
was
they
that
they
went dark real quick,
yeah,
fellas.
Yeah.
and they put a lot of thought into those commercials, which was really cool. Like it really gave us an insight into not only Wanda's past but also her mental state, which was really cool. Before, and that was before we got the episode previously on, which fully explored that. I feel like those
Mm-hmm.
commercials were just like a lead up um, to the penultimate episode previously on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well,
Right.
another really great scene from the '90s episode was the scene where we finally get to see Vision sort of starting to realize what's going on when he's walking around the neighborhood and there are
Mm-hmm.
just people just frozen there. And there was that shot of the woman who's trying to hang the
Oh yeah,
cobwebs, but
and you
she was
see
just
her
Yeah.
sort of like
tear.
stuck, and you can see her crying. I
Yeah,
that
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 the
was
scared
tear.
that
yeah.
actually
Oh
scared me.
God.
That was very
That actually like freaked me
that
out. That was a
was
really
yeah.
good scene.
That was like very I don't know. That speaks,
And
such
that
like
that was yeah, that really showed like um that also kind of showed like the effect of like to like everyone else in Westview, like
what they were going
how
through.
like yeah, like what they were going through,
Yeah,
because we weren't really sure like if they were like conscious or anything like that prior
yeah,
to that moment.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
for
don't know.
sure. And and I think one of the things that we love, obviously, are like how the writers developed all these characters, right? I'll start off with Vision. Vision.
Mhm.
He's like he's a synthesoid robot, right? And who is very
Yes.
intelligent and very smart, and sort of throughout the couple MCU movies, especially with Civil War, and Infinity War, that we sort of saw him sort of open up with his emotions, right? That he does sort of have
Mhm.
like a human side to him, and I feel like with this show, even though technically he passed away, and Wanda made another version of him in her own reality, we still got to see like more development of Vision. Like he was like, even though Wanda recreated him, right, and they could have gone with that, since Wanda recreated him, Wanda can control his thoughts, and like he won't question anything, and he'll be like the a happy-go-lucky husband in their sitcom reality world and with their white picket fence. But no, Vision throughout the series, and as time went on, he sort of started to realize that something was going on, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed him, especially like in the Halloween episode when he was like furthering out towards more of what was going on in Westview, and like everyone was frozen still, and when he went up to Agatha and was like controlled her mind, being like, whoa, what's going on with you, right? Like he really was invested in these people and everyone, and wanting to find out that even though he was in love with Wanda and even though he wants to do everything for her, he still, cared for everybody else, and he
Yeah.
understood that, you know, there were pros and cons to everything. And I really enjoyed that. And also seeing him kind of die again in the end of that episode was like, ugh.
Cool. That was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really like heroic of him though. Like I don't know, like you have to consider like he has no prior knowledge of his life before Westview. Like he really just drove into Westview with Wanda one day, and they've been living happily ever since. And like that's literally all he knows. Like when you look back on his conversation with Agatha or Agnes at that moment, he has no memory of being an Avenger, which I found that very like tragic, because I don't know, he just really didn't remember his past life, and I mean that kind of hints at like how he was created for this Westview reality, but it was just sad that he doesn't remember, and it also makes sense like he only remembers being in Westview, and he senses that something's going on. He doesn't know where he came from, and you just have to imagine like that existential terror that he's going through. Like the reality he's living isn't real, and Wanda's hiding something from him. Like this person he loves, and like basically the only person like he knows. It's just so scary, and I just love his arc where he comes around and learns like there are people outside, and like like he's trying to like he tries to save the people of Westview first. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to save the people of Westview first, and like first off, that shows off he's worthy. Just saying. But then like he goes from there to learning, right? I mean, he's dying, and he's literally saying the other people need help. Like, dude, heartstrings are just damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like he goes on with Darcy to like learn more about his own history, and then he learns um like why Wanda did all this, and I just love this whole arc of like rediscovering himself, and I just thought that was really powerful, and yeah.
Truly. Also, Paul Bettany was just amazing in like this entire series, right? Like
Yes.
obviously he had like
He really
needs to be in
was.
more like comedy stuff. Like oh my god, like when it came to like the 2000s episode, he was so much like Jim from The Office. I could not
Actually.
like during the confessional videos. I was just like,
Even
oh my god.
even in the 90s episode in the Halloween one, he emulated Bryan Cranston in Malcolm in the Middle
In the
Yeah.
middle,
Like,
yeah.
quite a lot. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did
Like-
really well in this series. I really enjoyed him.
Him and Elizabeth Olsen, well, they did outstanding.
Yes.
Oh, oh!
Give
get me
Elizabeth Olsen her
started.
Emmy right now.
Don't get me started. Okay,
Please.
guys. Okay.
Oh
Wanda,
my God.
as much as Vision was great in the show, amazing. Paul Bettany, amazing. Girl.
yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen, Wanda, her
Elizabeth
arc during this
Olsen,
entire show.
her
Beautiful.
performance,
kiss.
the way she was able to nail the comedy of each decade of sitcoms is not easy. Yet she did it so well, and she was
Yeah.
oh my god, she was amazing in this, and
Yeah.
just like my name tag. I mean, like it says what
Yes.
it says.
Literally.
Let's get
And I
her that Emmy,
Yes.
please.
Let's
She
go,
needs it.
guys. Let's go.
She deserves
And I
it.
think like one of
Deserves
the again with like combining with like her going like having her go through like each decade of the sitcoms while also incorporating, Wanda was basically going through the 5 stages of grief, right?
Mhm.
Sort of having to deal with losing the love of her life, and losing again another important person in her life after losing her family, right? And seeing Wanda go through that, trying to rebuild something for herself and have that sense of security to, have her love again, and live her dream life. But then also with that, the expense of sort of taking over all these people's lives, and ending up controlling them and ending up hurting them without even knowing. And sort of like, throughout the series, with all the obstacles that gets thrown her way, like finding out that Sword is freaking guarding her, and she has to continue to protect everyone. But then as we sort of see her slowly, especially when Agatha reveals herself and sort of tries to get into deeper into Wanda's mind, which, by the way, I really love what they did with that episode, with the penultimate episode of like really delving into a backstory of a character in the MCU for the first time, and really like
which we don't get
story
very often.
Yeah.
You don't get that
exactly.
very often in
like
Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Where it's broken down
sure.
and we really get into the meat of the trauma.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I feel like a lot of people with that episode, they were just like quite bored with it because there wasn't really a lot of action. But I genuinely enjoyed it because we really got to see, how much Wanda has gone through, how much pain she's holding in, I guess extra baggage that she's holding in, and like the trajectory and like the journey that she's gone through. And I'm so glad at the end she was sort of, she knew what she had to do. As much as it hurts her so much, the only way for her to sort of be able to get over this and move on was to let it all go. And that is what I really love about the show, is that they dealt with something so serious, like extremely serious. Dealing with death and grieving is not easy. It really isn't. And the fact that they did that really well, I really applaud the writers for that, honestly.
Yeah. And just that line that Vision said in that episode, what is grief if not love persevering? I'm sure like that was just a beautiful
that's such a nice line.
Yes. And
it was so like, my God.
Yeah, I think some of us are already getting choked up just from the mention of it.
It
is just
I'm not
such
gonna
a
lie,
beautiful
I can feel my eyes water.
I can kind of feel it.
Yeah, it is such a beautiful line. I'm sure like a lot of people will feel just very, like whatever struggles you're going to, I'm sure a lot of people will just feel very validated by that line. And it's just, I don't know what else to say. It's just really touching.
It's just such a like a lovely line, really.
Yeah, honestly. And with the show, we focus on the seriousness and like the funness of like Wanda and Vision, how much more dynamic of characters they were, but also like what they did with their side characters, and providing what the reality side of things are with people like Jimmy and Darcy and Monica. Like
yes,
they were side characters obviously, and they still had their important parts to the story, but like I honestly much preferred what was happening in Westview than what was happening in Sword. But whenever I saw Jimmy and Darcy, like I always just had to smile and laugh. Like they just bring so much joy to the show that like is needed in the reality aspect of it. Like I really enjoyed seeing them. And Monica getting her powers.
Yo, that was a fist pump moment.
Inside Westview was definitely the more like, it was by far the more interesting part of the show.
Definitely.
But like going outside, like you like at first you would just be like, oh, but I want to see what's going on in Westview. But then you see Jimmy and Darcy and Monica, and you're like, oh, okay. So they really made those scenes outside of the Hex like bearable. Sort of like bearable.
Yeah, bearable.
And like entertaining
because like Hayward is an asshole.
Yes.
Which I will get to later. And we will get to that later.
They just they just made it a lot more fun and like and just really fun to watch, and sort of helped progress the story from the outsider's perspective. And I feel like if we didn't have like as interesting characters as Jimmy, Darcy, and Monica, then the outside scenes wouldn't be as fun as it was.
They would have like, definitely
with them
fallen flat. Yeah.
We actually hold on. Well, saving the best for last. We have not yet talked about the big bad, Miss Agatha Harkness, fellas, with the best theme song in the entire planet.
Yes, guys. Agatha all along, guys.
That's
when Miss Rona is over, we have to have a party to that song. Like,
Yes.
come
That is
on.
the only bop we will be playing. Okay.
yes.
They
We all knew. All of us who were like familiar
Yeah.
with the comics, we all knew that it was gonna be Agatha Harkness.
Yeah,
But we
everybody
were all
Yeah.
still
theorized.
surprised. We were like, oh my god, it was
Yeah.
actually her.
Yeah,
Like we
look.
were all still surprised.
Yeah.
like the amount
Um,
of hints dropping with Agnes, you know, her being a bit
Yeah.
sus, you know, her being like in like the 80s episode being like, oh, do you want to go from the top? You know, we were all sus, especially with Senor Scratchy and all
As-
that. But like,
Yeah. But
But
still,
still-
I like that Marvel kind of tried to throw us off the tracks and be like in the '90s episode with that scene where Vision pretends to awaken her and she's like freaking out and
Yeah.
acting like she's just one of the Westview
Yeah.
citizens.
Yeah,
I really like
Yeah,
that they
for
tried
sure.
to throw
like
us
at
off
that episode,
because we were we were all like, wait, is it not her?
yeah,
For a
that
second, we
really
were like,
threw us
hold on,
off her.
what's going on?
Like from day one, we really thought like, okay, she's Agatha Harkness. But like at that episode, like I genuinely felt like kind of like confused, so because I was really buying into the fact like maybe she's just Agnes, like maybe she's just a regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next episode, nope,
Yeah.
she's Agatha Harkness.
Yep.
Yeah, she's the bad guy.
Agatha
All
alone,
alone.
fellas.
Oh my god,
Oh, the
Oh,
greatest theme
amazing.
the
song.
greatest.
Amazing,
Oh,
amazing.
so
I have
great.
so high expectations now for every MCU villain from here on out to have an amazing theme song. So
Loki, we're looking at you.
But okay,
Yeah.
just saying.
okay, but we need to talk about the back. I fucking hate. I
Yeah.
hate.
Here it is, folks.
I
Here it is.
hate that it's
Here it
set
is,
in
folks.
Salem. Oh my god, I hate that. Okay, not every f***ing witch story has to be set in Salem, Massachusetts. You can get more creative than that. I am so tired of having a witch on a TV show or a movie and suddenly being connected to Salem. When I really hate it. I really hate it so much. It's overdone. It doesn't need to. There were other like witch trials, okay? It wasn't just Salem. It's one of the famous ones, but it wasn't just Salem. It didn't have to be in Salem. That's the point.
I mean,
It didn't need.
But
I
I mean-
understand that in the comics she was from Salem, Massachusetts, but there's no reason
I
that
mean-
she has to be.
I mean,
Like,
it's not just
I
that.
hate it.
It's not just that. It's also the fact that they're in New Jersey.
Yeah, like geographically, it makes sense.
Right.
Massachusetts,
It makes sense.
Massachusetts and New Jersey are not that far from each other.
No.
Valid. Valid. We'll give you that.
Yeah. Valid, valid.
It could be any. Like, just stop. This is my public message to any television and film writers. Stop making witches from Salem, Massachusetts. I swear to fucking God.
I get
They don't need to be from there, okay? There are witches all over the
Agreed,
place.
though.
Stop
Agreed, though.
right
Oh my
now.
God.
Please.
No
Yeah,
more
okay,
Salem
my rant's over.
right now.
Dude, Agatha
Okay,
Harkness should have been from
But
Sacramento.
speaking of,
Go on. I'm done. I'm done.
Anyway.
okay, well, now
That's
that
where
we're on the
scheduled
roll of
programming
problems, now that we're sort of on the roll of problems of the show, I think most of, if not all, other than Talia's rant, our problems
Yes.
sort of came with the finale, right? Which
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the worst finale in the world. Trust me, it isn't. There are much
Mhm.
worse series
Much
finales.
worse.
Game of
Much
Thrones.
worse.
I'm
But
sorry.
this- Yes, he is not wrong. Carlos is not wrong. But
Oh,
that's for
anyway.
another time.
That's another podcast.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Mhm. That's
There
another
are
episode.
good points about there are good points about the series finale. There are, but also
There are some
we have a lot of
problems.
gripes with it.
There.
We have some problems.
Let's start with the biggest disappointment. Ralph motherfucking Boner. What the hell was that?
Oh my god.
I may be Mrs. Ralph Boner, but trust me, I'm freaking angry.
I was pissed, dude. I was pissed. And I still refuse to believe that they brought in Evan Peters for a fucking boner joke. I refuse to believe that. Like Marvel has been trying to do the multiverse for so long, and I refuse to believe that they wasted this golden opportunity on
This
a
is
boner joke.
this is
I
Trevor
refuse.
Slattery all
I
over again.
refuse.
This is Trevor Slattery all
No,
over
I
again.
refuse.
Yes.
I refuse.
This is the origin of our villain. This is our villain origin story right here.
This is my
Okay.
villain origin story, y'all. I can't.
Okay, look, I understand that it's sort of still too early to introduce the X-Men and mutants and all that. I understand that, right?
Mhm.
And I understand that it takes time, you know. Would you really, like, show everything on the TV show? No. You give us hints and all that. But, like, to
But they
have
gave us
Evan
nothing.
Peters...
They gave us nothing
have
except
Evan
for
Peters-
one like breadcrumb that like
Yeah.
this might not be the right person, which is the witness protection person,
Program,
the missing
yeah.
person
With Jimmy, that Jimmy has.
from
From
We
Jimmy,
Interrupt This
from
Program,
Jimmy,
which is
yeah.
episode 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
but just to
even
have
then
him
we don't really have
for-
confirmation about that.
Yeah.
Just like, look, I understand that having Evan Peters come in as Pietro and Quicksilver, they really have fucking red herring us there, which good job for them.
Mhm.
But the thing that really annoys me is that, like, are you seriously gonna have him there for a freaking boner joke? I'm sorry, Marvel, you made this great show exploring grief and all that, and you have Wanda's brother, fake brother, Pietro, be a fucking boner joke? Like,
I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh my god.
It's like it would be a great joke if like they didn't just leave it at that. Like I wish we just got a little bit more.
We
Like-
almost did, right? Because like I think
Yeah,
director Matt
Mhm.
Shackman like came on Kevin Smith's podcast. What's it called? Fat Man Beyond. He did confirm like there was gonna be
Yeah.
like an extended scene like involving Monica, Darcy, the kids, and Ralph Boner.
Mhm.
Where like they're trying to steal the Darkhold and like it involves Senior Scratchy like being like an actual like devil thing.
Demon,
Yeah,
devil,
yeah.
Yeah. And like that would just Senior Scratchy, that segment, that would have validated one of the popular fan theories out there. But I also feel like that could have redeemed Ralph Boner in a way. Like at least he becomes someone
Yeah.
that we root for instead of just being
Yeah.
a literal
Yeah.
like one-liner joke.
Yeah.
Because like honestly,
A one-off
yeah.
joke, basically.
Yeah. Honestly, like it was one of my theories. Like maybe like Evan Peters is just playing a Westview resident, and it's just like really really metacasting. And I was honestly like a very big fan of that prospect. Like if they're gonna like play into like this idea of a fake Pietro, like who else could they cast? Because we only buy 2 people as Quicksilver, and that's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's dead in the MCU, and Evan Peters. And if they get a whole third actor, it's gonna be hard to like suspend your whole disbelief and buy this as another Pietro. So I thought them casting Evan Peters to play that role was just like really really like top notch. But then all that for a boner joke, there's a misstep.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah,
Really cannot.
dude.
But other than that, honestly, like the finale was great. I really liked the fight scene was like really cool, especially with like the reveal of the runes.
That was
But
yeah.
Oh,
I just kind of that was amazing, right?
yeah.
I just kind of wished for a show that was so creative in how it told its story. I wish that the ending was like a bit more creative as well. Like
Mhm.
I wish that they didn't, like revert back to its typical like format of like the final big fight scene.
Yeah.
And instead
Mhm.
went for something like just a bit more like creative, like the rest of the show. Like,
Yeah.
like
Like
I honestly don't know like what they could have done, but like I wish they didn't stick to its old format and did something more out of the box.
Yeah. like Vision's fight in like Vision v
Mm-hmm.
Vision, Dawn of Vision.
Yeah.
Like that was such a great.
Coming to a theater near you.
Dude,
When
instead of
theaters open, of course. Please stay
yeah,
at home.
instead of
Please stay
Man
at
of
home.
Steel, it's Man of
Mm-hmm.
Vibranium, dude. Oh my god. Anyway,
Oh
like
my God.
Oh,
I mean, like that fight
someone
scene,
hire
like,
us right now.
I
The
mean,
big brain going on right now.
I mean, like that whole like fight scene where like they're fighting in the sky. It was very reminiscent of Man of Steel, and then like I love how it culminates to a more intellectual battle, like the whole ship of Theseus thing. Like that is very much in character with what Vision would have done, and I thought that
Mhm.
was just really
Mm-hmm.
executed very well. I wish there, like I know like the reveal of like Wanda using runes and like her eventually coming out as the Scarlet Witch persona. Like that was badass. And like I
I
just
Heart
wish
am
there
in
was
eyes.
love. I
yes,
am in love with that costume. And I'm just in
dude,
love with that
Bro.
look in general. Like
Oh,
yes, yes,
oh,
I love it so. Oh my God.
yes.
oh.
Love it so much. So good.
Like
It's
So good.
it looks so great, dude. Oh my God.
oh my
Elizabeth Olsen's
god,
great. She looks great.
yes.
She
Yes.
is
Like
great. Oh,
like Elizabeth Olsen, if you're listening to this, like after you take that Emmy, can you take me out, like low key?
he went there.
I
Yes.
Take me out too.
like,
I don't
I'm
mind.
shooting my
Yes.
shot.
I'm here too. I'm here
Like,
I'm
too.
also
oh my,
available,
like,
please.
oh my god, just
We're
that
all
costume.
available to take any of us out.
We're all available.
Like,
Please take us out.
Once
please
this pandemic's
RSVP.
over, we're all here.
Of course, yeah, of course. Wait, isn't she? Wait, Mish, isn't she in London?
Oh,
I
Fellas,
mean,
fellas, this is it.
is it
This is it.
is it her
I'm
time?
off.
your time is now.
It's my
dude.
time, guys.
Your
My
time
time
is
is now.
now.
Oh no.
I'm gonna yeet off after this to the
Oh,
set
no.
of Doctor Strange.
Understand?
I'm gonna
Oh
go.
no.
It's time.
This is it.
Oh
wait.
no. It's Misha's time, y'all.
Oh,
Oh
wait.
my God.
Okay, wait.
Okay,
Wait.
other than the fact that like she looked amazing in her Scarlet Witch outfit and the ruins reveal was great. I feel like we all agree that the CGI fight was kind of weird. Like it felt off.
Yeah.
It was like
Which
energy
again
baseball.
they did say though
Like, I don't
that
know.
yeah, like when she was just giving all her energy, which felt also logistically weird because if she was supposed to be
Yeah.
like the Scarlet Witch and have can destroy the whole planet and destroy the universe, how come her giving her powers to Agatha was so like mundane, being like, here's my power, and nothing
It
was
should have been
happening
like a whole
around
like
them?
firework production type thing. Like
Yeah,
it was
the
for someone who's supposed to be so powerful. Like you would imagine that her giving her powers away would be like a huge like deal, you know? So it was kind of like just
Yeah.
like, oh, that's it.
Kind of,
Okay.
yeah, kind of underwhelmed. I mean, like, I do get it. Like, I think like also on like the director did say like they finished like editing like the final pass like 2 weeks before it came out. So
Yeah.
like in
Hey.
that context and like with the whole context of like COVID guidelines and like everybody
Mhm.
working like whatever, like I do understand like there would be limitations on what the final product could be, and like it functions well with the finale, but it is just kind of unwhelming, but it works for what we got
Yeah.
at least.
For sure. And I mean, like, I love how, like, there were so many theories of who could come in and all that. But I really love how, like, the finale and, like, the entire show in general was so much focused on Wanda and Vision and their story and their emotions and how, Wanda is getting over this with Vision and, Vision sort of giving her that closure, and
Yeah.
I feel like that was so important, their final goodbye.
That was
Like, my
touching.
God, I started
Yeah.
crying.
My God.
I
Yeah.
cried.
Yeah.
I cried.
I
It
cried.
was so heartfelt and
Yeah.
it felt so natural. Like it really felt like
Yeah. It was
oh
it was so emotional, and just like the scene of Wanda and Vision tucking the twins into bed, and like you could see the hex like
Like
coming
closing.
in
Yeah.
like through the
Mm-hmm.
window. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But after that, after like all that sadness, right after, another thing that kind of disappointed me about the finale was that we kind of like Wanda didn't really have any consequences for her actions. Like she
Mm-hmm.
she
Agreed.
did something pretty villainous, which
Yeah.
is she essentially kidnapped an entire town and forced
Yeah,
Like,
and
them to
mind
to be
controlled
a
them.
part of her, yeah,
yeah.
forced them to be a
And
part of her like show. And we
and
saw that it took like an emotional toll on them. And it just
Yeah,
kind of sucks
which
that
I
we
liked.
didn't, yeah, it sucks that we didn't really get to see that, like, um, Wanda having to face the consequences. We didn't get to see any of that. We didn't
yeah.
see, we got that whole line of like Monica saying like they'll never know what you sacrificed for them. Like, really?
But
Okay,
also,
like, come
but
on.
also, like the
Like,
Yeah.
like the
I
actual like emotional and psychological trauma that all those people will have for the rest of their
mhm.
lives, including their kids, having to go through that. And
Yes.
Wanda just
Yeah.
like once the police sirens go on, she's like, I'm gonna yeet out of here and go to the mountains. Like,
And go, yeah,
Yeah,
go to her little cabin in the
and like
woods.
and like the fact that Monica like let her go, and I know like she understands where Wanda's coming from, and like she's sympathetic to her reasonings, but like she's
Mhm.
still a federal agent, right? She's still under
Yeah,
sword,
she still has to
and
like
yeah,
yeah,
she still has to like arrest her, you
yeah,
know?
and the FBI
yeah,
is
or like
like
do
right there.
something.
The FBI is right
Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
literally.
not doing
Yeah, everyone from
anything.
Sword are just standing there watching, and I'm like, I'm
Like,
sorry, your biggest
oh
target is
my
right here, and
God.
you're just watching her get away. Like, you all can see that she flew out. Like, I'm pretty sure they're all not,
Yeah.
they all saw her go out, and they're just like, yeah, we'll let her go. Like, what?
Like
I
that
didn't
that
get
that
that.
I just I wish that there was like, just something, to show that she has to face consequences, because this is legitimately villainous what she did. Like,
It's just like Agatha
you know,
said,
Yeah, from
like
an outside
heroes don't
perspective.
torture heroes don't
yeah,
torture people.
she's the villain in the
Mm-hmm.
eyes of Westview's citizens.
As much as, like, Wanda did get her closure and all that, like, it just, I just feel like she still needed to go through that consequence. And also, as much as she
Hmm.
still got her emotional closure, she still needs therapy. Oh my god, that girl needs therapy ASAP.
Yeah,
Like,
like, oh,
mm,
like, please, like, she's been through so much. She needs it. She really does. Oh boy.
I really wish Monica would have been like would have tried to like take her in, like at the end of the finale. Like, that would have given her more to do in the finale because like
Hmm.
she had like one
oh yeah,
scene, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Her
she's
only
basically in
purpose
like two
was for
scenes.
yeah. Her only purpose was to like show us who the Pietro was, and then also like protect the boys in that one scene against
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that is
Hmm.
Hayward, which like I understand the Hayward sort of his motive of like wanting to protect everyone, and they know how powerful Wanda is, but also with
But you don't have to be
also
a dick
manipulate
about
her.
it, you know?
Yeah, he was a complete in
Like,
this entire show. Props to the actor for portraying it that way, but
yeah,
also like I just oh
I
every time I
echo.
saw him on screen, I just wanted to punch him.
Like
And
props to the
like,
actor.
that's another thing. We didn't really get to see like much of Hayward in the finale. I wish we got to see a little bit more of him as like the B villain, because
Yeah,
of course Agatha
Mm-hmm.
was the main one. I wish we
Yeah,
got to see a little bit more of Hayward, and like, because like honestly, like he didn't really pose as a threat after like White Vision was released. We didn't really get like he was that
yeah,
big of a threat after
yeah,
Vision handled White Vision. So I wish we just got a
yeah.
little bit more.
The only thing he did, which also, how the did he think it was okay to shoot like 2 10-year-old boys? Like, I don't understand how that, like, in his mind
Yeah,
was like, I'm gonna kill them. Like,
he was about to just like
How?
shoot
Like with his
two
whole
little
heart,
boys in the street in
bruh.
Yeah,
broad
like
daylight.
he didn't even hesitate or whatnot. He was just like, I'm ready. Boom, boom. Like,
Yeah.
He woke up and chose
what makes you
violence.
think that's okay? Literally, he woke up and chose violence. And with the finale, we obviously. I mean, I was okay with the resolutions for the most part. Some of them could
Mhm.
have been stronger, and I understand that
Mhm.
with COVID and timing and filming, that all sort of had to shift, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was great, but
Like,
also underwhelming.
yes, like I wish we got a little bit more of Jimmy. I wish we got a little bit more of Monica. Darcy especially, she was literally in like one frame. And I and
Yeah.
I heard that it's because Kat Dennings, who plays Darcy, there was like scheduling conflicts or something like that. I don't know. But I wish we got a little bit more of her. Um, but overall, I'm happy with the finale. There's
Yeah.
just little things that I wish we had more of.
Yeah, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're venturing a little to nitpicking because I mean like overall I
Hmm.
really enjoyed the
Yeah.
finale and like it definitely like kind of dipped in from me like in relation to the whole show, but I still had fun at the end of the day. I still had fun and I still had fun like with the whole show. Like I had fun like watching it. I had fun theorizing with like you guys and just everybody else. And it was just really like special to like be part of like this theorizing community and just try to figure out what the hell is going on. I think at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, we like throughout the series, as we were like as it was coming out and as we were watching it, we've come up with a lot of like
Oh yeah.
batshit crazy
Oh yeah.
theories, which which most of them did not come true.
Like I came up with like 7 pages. Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah, guys,
a
our theory
lot of
doc is
theories.
crazy.
We have
Very crazy.
we have a shared Google Doc that has all our theories about like like past Marvel movies and then upcoming Marvel movies and so on. And it's long, and WandaVision added so much to it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think like me alone, I added like 7 pages to the whole doc. Like, oh my god. Let me just share some.
Just about WandaVision. Just
Yes,
about
just
WandaVision,
for
by the way.
Yeah.
WandaVision. And like, I think the first one was that I came up with. The first big one was that I mean, like, kind of true. But my first theory was that Wanda recreated the Mind Stone and Vision because
Oh yes.
and then like I kind of theorized like maybe like the energy of like all the Infinity Stones like still lives inside her because she's kind of exhibiting like powers of like all the different Mind Stones. And, like I think
Hmm.
in episode 2 like she like transports like Geraldine slash Monica into the closet, which is like that's exactly what the Space Stone does. And then like
Yeah,
later in that
and then
episode,
rewinding time.
yeah, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she also does that in the next episode with the whole editing thing. Like she does a bunch of stuff which is just like really powerful and like I kind of theorize like if she has all the powers of the Infinity Stones in her and she can recreate the Mind Stone and that's what revives Vision, then maybe she could recreate all the Infinity Stones and they all come back again. But then I think like looking back at the finale, we can just chalk that up to her being to her chaos magic and just the power she
Yeah.
has as the
And
Scarlet
also
Witch.
like the mind, like as she mentions, like there's a part of the Mind Stone that lives within her.
Yeah. And I honestly really respect that because I felt like it would have been redundant to bring back the Infinity Stones after like the whole
Hmm.
Infinity Saga. So I really respect that. Sorry, I'm just looking through more theories. Oh my god, that secret cameo that Paul Bettany
Oh,
Oh my
The
god.
cameo.
Paul
Okay,
Bettany.
let's talk
Paul
about
Bettany
Paul
again is.
Bettany
Like,
clowning
You know what?
us,
I
saying
applaud
that
him
there was a
though. No, I applaud
cameo.
him though.
Yeah.
I applaud him though. You know, it's like an actor that I always wanted to work with himself. Which you know what? As
you
an
know what?
actor
Great
myself,
You
joke,
earned
I
it.
would like
You
to
earned
honestly.
work.
it, honestly.
I would like to work with myself. At one point, I would like
Mhm.
to work with myself. So like, I respect his choice, but also we were just clown. You know, we
I
were
mean,
Yeah.
just clown.
yeah.
Like we were all like, oh my god, it's Doctor Strange, it's Magneto.
It's
Like
Professor
we
X.
came up with like the craziest. We
Yeah.
came up with the
Yeah.
craziest ones, and turns out
Like,
it was just
everybody
Paul
did.
Bettany himself.
I mean, props to him. Like, I had so many, like, I really delved into the idea, like, maybe it is Professor X. Maybe it is, like, Magneto. Because, like, Billy and
I
Tommy,
was no, I was just fully convinced it was gonna be Doctor Strange because like
Same.
because of the multiverse of madness thing. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it has to be Doctor Strange. It has to be.
same. I really thought he was gonna show up in the finale. Like, maybe he's not, like, the secret cameo, but I still thought he was gonna, like, show up in the finale in, like, a post-credit scene. But, like, just jumping back into, like, the cameo, like, theory, like, I really thought it would be Professor X or Magneto because, like, Billy, Billy and Tommy, the twins, like, they may have been fake, but, like, they're still, like, the first, like, mutants we've ever seen in the MCU. They were born with their powers. And I don't think we've
Mhm.
seen that before in the MCU. I really thought, like, maybe that's how they're gonna tie into, um, like, the X-Men. So I thought, like, maybe Charles Xavier could, like, come in at the end of the day and, like, take them in, you know, like, train them and or I thought Magneto could come in because, like, especially after Evan Peters came into the show, I thought maybe, like, Magneto would come in, and if it was, like, really the Fox Quicksilver and the Fox Magneto, like Michael Fassbender, I thought they'd finally be able to resolve that plot line about Quicksilver being his lost son, because they never finished that in
Mhm.
the Fox X-Men movies. Yeah, and I really thought they would, like, resolve that at least, but nah, we got a dick joke.
Yeah. Which
Still.
Pain, 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 pain. So much pain.
Yes.
What else theories?
What other theory?
Well, I at one point, at the very beginning at least, I thought that Wanda was working with Sword in a way, just because the way that the first, I
Oh
think
yeah,
around the
yeah.
first two episodes really worked. And it felt like Wanda was being watched over, which she was, but I felt that, like, you know, Sword had taken her in and sort of like had her as like a test subject and was like manipulating her in a way. Like when
Mhm.
Jimmy was in the second episode, it was like, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? I thought that was like their way of like to like
Try to
bring her back
communicate
into
with her.
reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tell her to be like, oh, do this, do that, sort of like them sort of testing her powers and stuff. It reminded me a lot of like Big Brother, the book 1984 by George Orwell, of sort of like there's an overwhelming presence of someone watching you and like watching your every move while they sort of basically try an experiment with you, which didn't necessarily come true, but I felt like that would have been an interesting sort of route if
Yeah.
they wanted to go with that, you know, sort of like
Yeah, that would be
test
very
subject type,
Truman Show.
stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some other I did say when we finally got the reveal of Agatha, we went into her lair and there was the glowing book. It was the Darkhold, and I was frickin' correct.
Hey.
And that Agatha would be sort of like branching Strange and Wanda, because again, in all of like, if you notice in the whole show, there actually isn't that much sort of connecting into the multiverse, right? Which really confused me because they were sort of like being like, this is directly going to lead into Doctor Strange, and now it's like, okay, cool, they're going to do a lot of like build up. It was technically only the Darkhold and then like that post end credit scene at the very end, which I'm glad that we had. You know, her like astral
It
projecting
was so
Yeah.
great.
and looking through the Darkhold and sort of her like going through what was happening. So I'm very excited to see where that goes. I was definitely expecting more in terms of like branching the two storylines together, but I was glad that technically I was correct that that was a Darkhold. Just saying. And also at one point I thought Vision was gonna be White Vision was gonna be the big bad, because and that's how the show was called WandaVision, because it's Wanda versus Vision, just because of just how in the penultimate episode it
Yeah.
looked like they were setting up
Mhm.
White Vision to be like the big bad, and like he was kind of, I mean, Vision versus Vision fought, but I was like really looking forward for like a Wanda versus Vision fight, like an actual
Yeah.
like physical fight, not like a domestic argument. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I really
to
I
see,
really thought
but
that was gonna happen, and then he just kind of left, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're not getting this now.
Yeah, I
yeah,
Which
really
exactly.
would have liked more resolution to that because he really just dipped.
Yeah,
Just
he just
Yeah,
he really just like left, like he
goodbye.
just like
like,
gone.
I'm gonna head out. That's it.
Yeah.
I really wish there was more like closure to that. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think one theory that I think we all thought, our favorite one, fellas, is that
Mephisto!
Everyone is Mephisto.
Everyone is Mephisto. You're Mephisto. You're Mephisto. Everyone's Mephisto.
We were all clowns. We were all clowns.
God damn it.
clowns, clowns. We were clowns.
Clowns.
We were
All of us.
clowns.
Senior
Dude,
Scratchy
Oh
was
my
in a
God.
society.
the
We
fly.
all-
we
we
were
cicada,
like-
and
We were like, oh, Senior
Mephisto.
Scratchy is definitely Mephisto. Ralph is Mephisto. That fucking cicada in the curtains when Wanda was in Agatha's house. That
Oh my
was
God.
Mephisto.
The
We
freaking
thought-
mailman is
We
Mephisto.
thought the mailman is Mephisto.
Dude, Hayward's Mephisto. I
Pietro
don't-
was
yeah.
Yeah.
Mephisto. Everyone was Mephisto.
Her kids
Oh
were
my
Mephisto.
God.
Okay. Oh my god. Everybody. We thought
Absolute
everybody was.
clown.
Everyone was
We were
Mephisto.
clowns.
The circus
We were
truly came into
clowns.
town. The circus really came in.
Uh,
Oh my god.
Oh,
I mean, at the end of the
God.
day, I'm not mad that Mephisto didn't come. I felt like it was better for the
Yeah.
show, but I just a testament to us as fans of how much
I feel it.
clowns
It
we
was
were. That we
just-
were so
It was honestly
evident
just
it
so
was
funny.
Mephisto.
It was really just funny to see all of us just be like, oh, this person has
It's-
to be Mephisto, and for it to
Yeah.
just like never mention Mephisto at all.
Oh my god. That was.
We really thought.
We really can't
we
blame Marvel
really
for that.
thought-
That was really
Yeah,
on us.
That was us.
Like,
that was
Yeah,
truly
that
the
was
us.
circus's fault.
And I think like I as a whole, like with the entire show and stuff like that, a lot of people were sort of like underwhelmed by a lot of things, right? And I feel like that was less on Marvel, but more on us as fans, that we just got so caught up in the theories and so caught up in what could happen that like we
Yeah.
set up our expectations, which technically the show never had in the first place, that we just put onto ourselves. But however, what I really enjoyed about the show, I mean, other than the fact that it's an amazing show, was that it really brought everyone into this whole like research mode of like the investment of
Yeah.
everyone wanting to know
Mhm.
what happened, and sort of brought to like more people investing in like the comics now, reading House of M and all of that, and I was really
Yeah.
happy like to see like my creative side like pop on, be like, oh my god, like genuinely invested into like what could happen, and and theorizing and like talking to you guys about like what could happen, and all of that.
Yeah,
and I really
like-
enjoyed that.
Yeah, like for us, every Friday was like a WandaVision discussion, and we would bring up new theories, and we would just like freak out over what happened on that episode for like hours, just discussing
Yeah.
it, and it was just this like really brought us together to just like freak
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
go crazy.
Like, I'm sure some people are gonna be disappointed. Like, their theories didn't come through, but I feel like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, the real Mephisto is the friends we made along the way.
I can't do this anymore. I can't. We,
Okay, that
Cut the
wraps.
cameras.
That is our
I can't.
first and only episode. No.
No, we kid.
can't.
We are making more. But anyway, overall, overall, we all enjoyed the show. It was an experience to
Mhm.
watch. It was an experience to theorize and talk about with other people and share with people. Yes, there were issues along the way, which obviously, as with every show and every sort of piece of art that comes out, there will be problems or things we liked, but we enjoyed it. We're so excited to see what the future has in store. You know, the end credit scene with Monica setting up for Secret Invasions and Captain Marvel 2, with Wanda, of course. Excited for the next phase, you know, phase 4.
Yeah.
We're actually
Yeah.
getting the multiverse finally coming to the MCU.
Yes.
There is
So
a lot more we
excited.
can talk about with Marvel, which we'll talk about in another episode because we are massive fans of Marvel and we can talk about this for hours and hours on end.
Yes.
But yes, we are excited for phase 4.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us on this journey. I hope you didn't get tired of hearing about us and WandaVision and hear us geeking out and being ourselves for like the past how long we've been talking for. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want any more, if you have any topics you want us to discuss, if you have any theories or your reactions to WandaVision yourself. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.